The deficit crisis isn't just impacting the country as a whole. Of course, several individual states like Minnesota have been dealing with a lot of problems on their own. Virginia used to be one of them, but today announced a budget surplus for the second straight year. That announcement coming up in about an hour, and we are joined now by Virginia's Governor, Bob McDonnell. Governor, thanks very much. Congratulations on your plus.
Thanks,
is it $300 million plus surplus? Second time in a year? Second year in a row, I should say.
It is $311 million of revenues. That's right, of revenue surplus. And when we get the savings numbers in the next couple of weeks, it'll be more than that. But we decided last year in Virginia to cut spending back to 2007 levels, not raise taxes, focus on job creation, and now we see the revenues coming in. And I think that's the way to govern. We just finished with a bipartisan budget passed unanimously, and so I think we're doing it the right way in Virginia.
Well, I don't have to tell you that there is some criticism from the other side of the aisle. Some say that you took the money from pension funds and that you moved things around and that some of the cuts were not specified and that some of the cuts are going to be too deep into essential services.
Well, I'd say they're just flat wrong. First, they don't understand math. This is revenues over projections, and that's a surplus. Yes, we made cuts, but government at every level has gotten too big, too bureaucratic. Have overpromised and overdelivered. That's quite evident in Washington, D.C., and we had done some of that in Virginia. So, listen, the proof is in the pudding. We got the third lowest unemployment rate east of the Mississippi. Businesses are coming to Virginia. We're the most business-friendly state in America, so I think we're on the right track, and I think we got a bipartisan agreement on the budget. I think we're doing the right thing.
Well, here you've done everything right, according to your lights, and yet because of the federal the debt ceiling showdown, which is not resolved, Moody's is now threatening a number of states, including Virginia's, with a downgrade, which has an extraordinary impact. What is your reaction to this threat from the rating services to downgrade Virginia because of what's happening at the national level?
I'm furious. We're exasperated with Washington. They do things so much differently than governors. We have to balance budget, get things done on time, can't borrow massive amounts of money, can't kick the can down the road. And yet that's what they've been doing now in Washington. The president can't produce a budget that his own party supports. We're $14 trillion in debt, heading towards the highest debt level since the end of the Second World War. And now, because they've downgraded, put Washington on the watch list, Virginia yesterday, with a AAA bond rating for 75 years, is now put on Moody's credit watch, and we're really unhappy about that. Washington needs to put aside the toxic environment, find ways to get that done. They ought to do it through spending cuts, but the bottom line is they've got to get this done. For the greatest country in the world to be on the brink of not paying its bills is embarrassing.
Well, what do you say to fellow Republicans? We just interviewed Senator Toomey, for instance, who are dead set against any revenue measures, not tax increases per se, but even changes in the tax code. And in being set against that, they're going against at least the findings in our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, where a good, healthy majority of Americans want some taxes as part of the mix in order to get this thing resolved.
Well, the path we chose in Virginia was solely spending cuts, focused on job creation, grow by growth, not by more taxes.
Understandably, at the national level, the argument is that with entitlements, with interest on the debt, with all the other things that are locked in place, that without revenues, you're not going to get to the $2.7 trillion plus that is necessary to be credible with the rating services.
Well, Andrea, the problem is they don't have the courage to make the tough decisions. I mean, that's what we did in Virginia. In a perfect world, we'd get this thing fixed in Washington solely through spending cuts, dramatic entitlement reforms. We've overpromised, overdelivered, and now the bills are due. But the practical reality is you've got a Democrat Senate, Democrat President, Republican House. It's not going to get done without some compromise. And when it's affecting states now, it's creating great uncertainty. There's massive unhappiness with the federal government generally over its inability to do the basic things that government needs to do. There's got to be a compromise. I'm not going to tell them how to do it. I'd suggest they try spending cuts. Everybody knows they're spending too much. But they've got to get this done immediately, or the uncertainty for the business community is going to be just devastating to our country.
Message delivered. The question is whether it's been heard. Great to see you again. Thank you so much, Governor. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate it.